Aaron Rodgers has officially emerged from his rebirthing and his darkness retreat. And I'm sure we're going to have multiple more weeks of mindless speculation. Guys, there's a new rumor regarding Aaron Rodgers, as funny as that is. So about a week ago, everyone in the media said, oh my God, the Green Bay Packers are done with Aaron Rodgers. They want to start Jordan Love. You had one buffoon that's like a Packers reporter say that if Aaron Rodgers returned to the Packers, he would be the backup behind Jordan Love. And what do we have here? We've got another report now. The media comes out. They're saying, oh, you know what? No. The Packers would like to have the 4-time MVP back as long as Rodgers is fully bought in. So this is another full-blown NFL soap opera with absolutely no end in sight. Of course, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm doing what I should have done last year. I'm saying, listen, I want to play, but you got to get me some weapons. You got to send me to the Vegas Raiders or whoever. If I was Rodgers, I would want to go to the Raiders because they have a dome. They've got a good enough offense with Darren Waller, Renfro, Devontae Adams. I don't know if they'll be able to keep Josh Jacobs, but actually they probably won't be able to keep Josh Jacobs if they got Rodgers because of the cap hit that Rodgers and Devontae Adams would have. This is probably the most realistic hypothetical trade. It's Aaron Rodgers for the number 7 overall pick and then a second rounder in 2024 that would convert to a first rounder if Rodgers commits to playing in 2024, I'm guessing, which makes sense. I mean, if you're the Raiders, you're not giving up multiple first-round picks for a guy who's going to retire in a year. And I would expect Aaron Rodgers, if he does go to the Raiders, to play for at least 2 more years and then call it a career. I do not think he's going to retire right now because he doesn't want to be overshadowed by Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame ceremony in 5 years. But again, that's assuming Tom Brady doesn't say, you know what? There's an injury, maybe one of the really good contending teams has a quarterback injury in the summer, and Tom Brady says, I'm pulling a Brett Favre, and he comes back yet again. How about this T. Higgins trade? Guys, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have a really tough decision to make on T. Higgins because we already know Joe Burrow is probably going to break a record for the most money he's going to be receiving. We know Jamar Chase is probably going to reset the receiver market and get a contract higher than Tyreek Hill. You really can't afford to invest massive money in T. Higgins if you're already paying Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase massive salaries because then you're going to have no money left over for your defense. So what does Cincinnati do? Do they trade him right now? Do they trade him next year after they franchise tag him? It's an interesting hypothetical. I would think Cincinnati would want way more, or not way more, but Cincinnati would want more than this from a team like Detroit. It's for a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick, but you have to understand, T. Higgins' stock right now is at a ridiculous all-time high. He's basically a 1B receiver in the NFL because it's like Jamar Chase is 1A, he's 1B. He would be a 1A on a lot of teams. He has developed really well as a bigger receiver. And if you're Cincinnati, understanding and knowing your future and realizing that you're probably not going to be able to re-sign him because he's going to want a ton of money. You're already going to be investing so much into the Joe Burrow-Jamar Chase connection. You know, you have to consider trading him right now when his value is at an all-time high. But again, you could keep him this year, roll with the same offense. You know, maybe, I don't know what Joe Mixon's contract's looking like, but maybe he comes off the books or you can cut him. You know, anytime there's a running back making a lot of money, you want to get rid of that in this day and age in the NFL. But it's just going to be very hard for them to keep all three. We had the USFL draft where I give the USFL credit. I was like, so they're going to have a draft, but they're telling the teams don't pick any of the players that are going to be drafted. And then the number 1 overall offensive pick is an offensive tackle from Michigan State that even me, who's like a college football big time fan, or I at least watch, some college football, I've never even heard of this guy. So I guess the teams did a good job, but there was a few picks. Malik Cunningham, the Louisville quarterback, he might get drafted into the NFL. Tyler Scott, a Cincinnati receiver, might get picked as well, which in that case, they would obviously go to the NFL. We've got an Ezekiel Elliott update. It says scouts and analysts all agree that Zeke has very little left in his legs, and his only chance at not making league minimum is to stay in Dallas. And so it's looking like Dallas or Zeke Elliott probably does want to remain with the Cowboys, but he's going to have to take an absurd pay cut. And it's just really sad what happened to Zeke. I don't know with running backs nowadays. It's crazy how washed they get. I mean, we're already seeing signs with Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon. They're still in their 20s, I believe. Alvin Kamara is showing signs of really slowing down. Zeke has been washed since the age of 25. Le'Veon Bell got washed after holding out. Todd Gurley had a legitimate, chronic injury that he couldn't help in his knee. But all these running backs are getting washed so early on. You know, Zeke was run really hard at Ohio State. He had a ton of carries, both his sophomore and junior seasons. And then he had a great 2 or 3 years in the NFL, but it's just crazy how fast he fell off. And he's kind of like a punching bag now. I still like Zeke personally, but they almost treat him kind of as a fullback with Tony Pollard there. We've got an update on Lamar Jackson. You're crazy if you think Lamar Jackson is playing on a franchise tag. All it does is buy you time to negotiate a long-term deal or find a way to trade him for more than 2 first-round picks. Absolutely, that's correct. The next time Lamar Jackson will be playing on an NFL football field, he will have a massive $200+ million contract. Bottom line. So if they franchise tag him, they will be trading him 1,000%. We already saw Lamar Jackson. There were reports that he was a little hesitant to come back because he was in a contract year. And Lamar Jackson is not going to risk coming back if he's even, 95%, because what if he re-injures himself and then going into the offseason, he's injured? He didn't want that. So there's no way Lamar Jackson is going to go out there without the security of a 4 or 5 year extension, and at this point, that seems the most realistic thing in terms of what's going to happen. A second false rumor about Chiefs QB Patrick Mahomes taking drugs is being advertised online with claims of cheating allegations, saying he was caught taking male enhancement pills. What did he take? Penis enlargement pills or something? What does that mean? Male enhanced, maybe testosterone? I don't know. It's obviously false, but I thought it was funny. We've got another rumor on Derrick Henry. Speculation on that the Bills could be a perfect landing spot for Derrick Henry if Tennessee moves on. And yeah, the Titans are in a position. I mean, what are they doing? They have 0% chance to win the Super Bowl with their current quarterback situation. Derrick Henry is just wasting the last few prime years he has. Again, we know how running backs are. How many good years does Derrick Henry have left? Can they trade him for maybe, a high-value pick? Would that be something Tennessee would be open to? And would a team like the Bills be a good landing spot? I mean, that would be crazy. Derrick Henry with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I've said for a while, I think the Bills should invest in a running back. They've kind of half-assed it. Getting like a scat back in James Cook, that's not good enough. You need a legitimate running back. That's really been the one thing it seems they're lacking. I mean, Gabe Davis is a fine number 2 receiver. Dawson Knox is definitely a good enough tight end. They just don't have that running back. But also the other thing, it's like the Bills just don't know how to play defense in the playoffs. Have you guys noticed that? How about the game this year against Cincinnati? I know their offense didn't play well, but you're facing 3 backup offensive linemen, and you can't even get a sack on Joe Burrow. That was crazy. We have J.J. Watt apparently getting a message. Remember, J.J. Watt is retired. He gets a message from the league about a random HGH dry blood test from an unknown NFL number, and JJ Watt tweets out that he's reporting it as junk. So I guess the league didn't take him off of the list when they send out all the messages. Top-rated USC quarterback Caleb Williams says he wants to be drafted by the Miami Dolphins if he could pick. Guys, if you don't know, Caleb Williams, very, very likely to be the number 1 overall pick next year in the draft in 2024. But the Miami Dolphins, very unlikely landing spot unless something happens with Tua. I think if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you're kind of in a torture chamber right now. Because you have to understand, Tua is a huge liability to the league with the concussion issues. If he gets one more concussion, the league is like borderline going to want him to retire. And I'm not trying to overreact. I'm saying that is the one thing the NFL knows it cannot deal with. When you end up messing up a guy's head and like to the point where he has like significant damage, that will kill the NFL. They know that. That's why anytime you touch a quarterback, it's a flag. And it's like if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you love Tua. He's developing as a really young, good quarterback with a good offense. But he's got these crazy concussion issues, and the NFL knows it's such a liability. That's the one thing that could kill the league. So I mean, I don't know how you feel if you're a Miami Dolphins fan. Kind of weird that Caleb Williams would come out and say this normally. I mean, these guys have agents and they say, I'll go wherever, whatever. But I think it's kind of cool. It's transparency. They have a good offense. Also, he also lists Mike Gesicki. So Mike Gesicki gets a shout out. Was Mike Gesicki a free agent or did he re-sign there? I don't know. And then we've got Mel Kiper saying he would retire if the Ravens select Bijan Robinson in round 1. I think Mel Kiper just wants attention at this point. I mean, this is just such a random thing to say. Obviously, Baltimore is not selecting Bijan Robinson in the first round. They have J.K. Dobbins. They have a young running back on a rookie deal. Why would they take another running back in the first round? And then Mel Kiper comes out and says, again, it's like Mel Kiper didn't get enough attention or something. Guys, you know what? I want to come out and I want to say something. If the Kansas City Chiefs select Bryce Young, I will delete my YouTube channel. I mean, that's basically what this is saying. It's just a joke. But guys, that's just kind of an update on the current situation with the NFL. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.